you say?
Last question. My 2 kids are born with very severe allergies. Why that would happen, and how do we help them or deal with it?
Well, anytime someone comes in with something, you can know for sure that it was an intention that they had set into motion. And so in the same way, you say you were 35 before you got hold of a situation where you really were determined to come into alignment. Sometimes they come and they hit the ground running. And again, we have not touched upon this very heavily in this seminar, but you expose it in a powerful way, and this is the perfect opportunity to have this leading edge discussion. And this is the discussion about the power of influence, not the power of creating in someone else's reality, but the power of influence. So the power of influence goes like this. Everyone has access to this energy that creates worlds, and everyone is blessed by their relationship with this energy. But people, for various reasons and to various degrees, have developed patterns of thought that hold them out of harmony with this. So it is always true that when we visit with someone who is an influencer or an uplifter or a teacher to the very core of their being, or even that which you could call healer, when a person is born with that intention and they are interacting with another, the most important thing for them to remember is that they're not harnessing the energy and then thrusting it toward or asserting it toward. Instead, they are amplifying the energy of allowing. You are amplifying the energy of expectation of positive results. So the most wonderful thing happens when you are someone who is focused upon someone that you care very much about, and there is a what is that's happening in their experience that totally captivates your experience. It's hard not to notice it, and it's hard not to worry about it, and it's confounding when it doesn't go away, and it's irritating and frightening when it becomes exaggerated. And so as you are witnessing that, the power of your desire is really shooting out of you, but because it feels like it's in the experience of another, sometimes you feel that you don't have control over what happens. This is how the power of influence works, and this is how it fits in with both of the questions that you have presented to us here today. So as you discover that your true work is to find emotional resonance with your inner being, not to cure cancer, which you've accomplished, and not to resolve the allergy issues. That even though that seems like that should be what you are working on, that is not your work. What your work is to come into alignment with who you are. Now, before that is meaningful to you, however, it is helpful for you to know that you have already put those requests into your vortex, that already the vortex is orchestrating circumstances and events and bringing together the cooperative components. So your singular work, whether it is about your own recovery with something or whether it is about your attention to someone else's, your singular work is to come into alignment with your vortex, because your request has already been duly noted, and the request of the one suffering the allergy or whatever it is has already been duly noted. So as you then are able to come into alignment with your good feelings and with your clarity and with your confidence and with your well-being, now what happens is when you rendezvous with your children, you are rendezvousing on an in the vortex level, which means you will now be an influencer. Their vortex is spinning and their vortex is calling them. But do you know how much easier it is to be called by your vortex when there's someone standing nearby who has already been called by their vortex, who is already in their vortex, who is holding you as their object of attention? In other words, that's what the power of influence is. You find yourself in the right place at the right time. You find yourself manifesting solutions, manifesting concepts, manifesting understanding. You find yourself having manifestations that are, in many cases, action things that you will offer that will bring about the results that you are looking for. But it's vortex first, and then the inspiration for the action. So can you feel that once again? We heard you clearly, but we did not spend any time trying to answer the question, why? Because that question is not the answer to that question is not receivable to you when you're asking that question. Isn't that interesting? When you're in the place that's the question that you're asking, you're not in the place to receive the answer. So rather than answering the question of why in a way that would be satisfying in the way you think you want to hear it, we're going to say, why? Because it's satisfying to move energy. Why? Because it's satisfying to know some of what you don't want in order to put things into your vortex that will serve you very well. Why? Because you are a creator of your own reality, and there is contrast around you that is necessary for putting things into the vortex. Why? Because you have a solution that is ripe within the vortex relative to all things, and the discovery of the solution is only rich and delicious when you have identified the problem beforehand. Now that was big right there, because there are all kinds of things that you all are living, so much more about your life that is not about a problem that you're overcoming. So many things are happening where you are finding the solution, and the solution is more dominant to you than the problem. So many things are like that. Don't you see that as you look around? The earth is spinning in its orbit. Your blood is pumping through your veins. The food keeps being robust around the planet. The water keeps moving around and continues to nurture your planet. In other words, and on and on and on. There are so many more solutions that you are living without getting caught up in the deepness of the problem, that it really is an environment of utter well-being. But for deliberate creators, when a problem presents itself and you didn't see it coming, and you accept that even though you didn't see it coming, you are the creator of it, and you embrace it as a wonderful thing, not an awful thing, because of the sharpening of the focus that it gives you, as you have discovered after the fact with your experience with cancer, then what happens is you begin to live this rich, full life where you are unguarded about everything or about anything. And it is only in an unguarded life that you could really be that freedom experiencing, free-flowing being that you were born to be. You hardly meet anybody that flows freely like that. Almost everyone's all balled up in resistance or worry about one thing or another. But to have an early exposure to life experience where you find your balance, it sets you free for all of this life experience, you see. It's a wonderful thing.
And just last question. How do you, now that I'm spending a lot of time with sick people and people with cancer, how do you deal with it emotionally in terms of positive thought? How do you look at the positive in all that is happening?
Well, that's the thing that we want to help you in maintaining your balance. Go to the vortex and then interact with them. Go to the vortex and then interact with them. Don't go because they're needy. Go because what's in their vortex and what's in your vortex is calling you. And there's a tendency, you see, if you're remembering the pain that you experience, the emotional pain mostly, and you're wanting to assist them in getting through that, now you're out of the vortex, and now your advantage to them is
Zero.
nil.
Yeah.
And their disadvantage to you is rather robust, and that's the reason that you're asking the question. But if you are in the vortex, which means you're rendezvousing with not only your success and conclusion relative to it personally, but you're rendezvousing with your fullness and your confidence and your clarity and your exhilaration for life. Now that feeling, as you interact with them, will induce or evoke more of that from them. In other words, when healers, and there have been many of them, through time, as you stood before them in your current temporary state of illness, as they behold you, they do not see your illness. Instead, they know your vortex. They know your wellness. And they know it so well that your illness, for the time of their knowing it and your knowing that they're knowing it, doesn't exist vibrationally. It doesn't exist vibrationally. If you have enough opportunity for the illness to no longer exist vibrationally, it has to go away. The only thing that can keep an illness alive in a body is attention to the illness in the body. a disregard of the illness in the body, an understanding of the wellness. In other words, that's what it's all about. That's when it flips. That's when the recovery comes, you see. And the cells know how to do that. That's what that meditation recording was saying to you. The cells of your body know what to do. And when you're out of the way of it, they will do what they know how to do. And so your goal is to help them to get out of the way of it. But you can't help somebody get out of the way out of it if you're worried about them. So you've got to remind yourself of the gift that you received through all of this. And you're there, so it's easy for you to receive it, you see. It's easy for you to transmit it to them. But you want to keep that gift alive within you so that it's the active part of your vibration, and then you can inspire others to that vibrational frequency as well. And don't worry about having to maintain it at all times. It's natural that it comes and goes. You're going to, at the end, there may be no ending, but through this process of interacting with others, that gift that you have discovered for yourself will be 10-fold and 20-fold and 100-fold as hundreds of others find the same gift that you have discovered. You see what we're getting at? It just gets bigger and better. This is a time when Western medicine as you know it, and spirituality or holistic medicine as you know it, have a wonderful opportunity to blend, because there are advantages in all of that. But what's happening in your environment, it's a little bit like your political arena. There is so much posturing and pushing against. Western medicine doesn't want anything to do with this holistic or spiritual idea. They want to face the facts, and they want studies about it, and they don't understand that as long as they haven't produced the evidence that they are demanding that you look for, that they have nothing really to give you in terms of any progress. And so that's why not very much is changing. Different methods, but results not changing all that much on the things that really have them stymied, you see. Where in the spiritual understanding, in the logic of the vortex, in the alignment of the vortex, in the healing of the vortex, in the recovery of the vortex, there is so much potential, while the Western medicine is helping people to hold their own along the way. They can work very beautifully together, you see. Not one or the other, but working very beautifully together.
Thank you very much.
Yes, indeed.